And again, this is a lunar eclipse. This is not a solar eclipse, so there's no chance that anyone, including our president, will inadvertently blind himself again. Wow, you know, I was thinking today, what a dumb guy we picked for president. You know how he fired all those federal workers without even knowing what they do? Well, a judge today ordered thousands of them to be rehired just in time for the government to shut down tomorrow. Things are running like a Swiss clock. You know, there was a time when firing people was the only thing Donald Trump was good at.
I understand why people are not taking him seriously, because you read about it historically in other countries that they didn't take the people around and say, what, we told you so? Or whoever, I told you so? It's going to happen. If he gets elected, it's going to change this country.
Jimmy Kimmel and Robert De Niro just went all out on Donald and Melania Trump. Live on television. As if he were endorsing Goodfellas, De Niro was dropping truth bombs. Like it was Thanksgiving dinner, Kimmel was making fun of Trump. What about Melania? She was most likely planning her escape strategy in real time, let's say. What was it that made everyone gasp? Was Trump's angry tweet all caps? Did Melania reach her breaking point at last?
In all fairness to the former president, is that true? Do you have to use a teleprompter when speaking about President Trump? Or are you able to just kind of riff on your thoughts on him?
Yeah, he's so stupid. Look at the lame, inane things that he said. He's so stupid, he can't even say anything clever or smooth. He's a moron.
Let's get started. If Donald Trump felt that the media was hard on him, he had no idea what was going to happen when Jimmy Kimmel and Robert De Niro tagged him like a heavyweight bout. This time, however, his ego was the only thing knocked out. It was more than just a roast. With the comedic accuracy of a Scorsese-directed hit piece, this was a Hollywood-caliber takedown.
Look, between you people, don't talk to me that way. You're just a lightweight. Don't talk to me that way. I'm the president of the United States. Don't ever talk to the president.
Or can't fix. Trump has been systematically alienating our allies around the world. Yesterday he did Ireland. He's going alphabetically. It's screw you, Australia, Britain, Canada, Denmark, France, Germany. Skip the H, went right to Ireland. And you're next, Japan. Oh, he did Japan already? Well, then look out, Korea. You're the one that's next. Today, Trump threatened to put a 200% tariff on alcohol imported from Europe. That includes wine, spirits, and beer from Europe. And that is particularly unfair. He's making it very expensive to get drunk. He's the reason we need to get.
An A-list enforcer was necessary for this roast, according to Kimmel, who is constantly looking for ways to make it hotter. Let's meet De Niro. When a man who has made a living by playing mobster takes the mic, you know someone is getting metaphorically thrashed, which is why the crowd erupted the moment he left. Furthermore, De Niro didn't hold back when speaking. Fueled by years of pent-up frustration, he was there to give Trump the verbal beating of his life.
He's a scary one. And in all seriousness, and we know it here, people have to get out and vote and vote and vote and vote.
Yeah, one time each. Do you think he pretends to be dumber than he is to confuse people and make them think? No, you think he's...
No, I don't think so.
Why do you?
They have a protest of Robert De Niro yesterday. He's a fool. He's a broken down fool standing out there. He got maggot.
Subscribe if you're enjoying it. Never one to mince words, De Niro attacked Trump's meticulously crafted tough guy image, pointing out his well-documented difficulties with basic motor skills. A tough guy? De Niro laughed, the same person who requires assistance to drink water. The crowd went crazy. Before Kimmel delivered his own uppercut, he had to wait for the laughter to subside.
He talks how he wants to punch people in the face. Well, I'd like to punch him in the face.
Kimmel entered like a late-night killer, just when you thought the beating was over. With his tiny thumbs hammering out and all the caps melting down, he painted the perfect picture of Trump sitting in his golden palace, frantically scrolling through his phone. Kimmel's joke, "Find me a way to block De Niro on social," caused the audience to erupt once more.
He was in court all day Monday. He was all day yesterday. Today he had a day off. And how did he spend that? Brunch with Melania? No. Maybe a catch with Barron in the yard? No. Santa Claus got up bright and early to post 165 venomous words about yours truly.
The intensity of the atmosphere crackled. De Niro, the quintessential tough guy in Hollywood, seemed to have been waiting for this opportunity his entire life to verbally dissect Trump with the accuracy of a professional hitman. However, this wasn't your typical celebrity tirade. This was the release of decades worth of repressed annoyance, like a shaken soda. What about the internet? It imploded, I see. Devastatingly, Trump supporters frantically tried to rally for a comeback, but the best they could manage was, well, meet the Fockers. Trump, meanwhile, was most likely storming around Mar-a-Lago with his thumbs tapping his phone like he was trying to unlock a hidden level in the video game Angry Birds. He wrote a furious all-caps tirade that sounded like a broken AI trying to roast someone, and aides probably watched in horror. Let's be honest, no politician, late-night comedian, or journalist had ever given such an honest, unvarnished critique. The man who built his empire on gold-plated everything was the target of De Niro's full-on rage, with the exception of the script being true to life and the villain being more than just a fictional character. He was furiously scrolling through Twitter. It was a cinematic masterpiece. Are the hosts excellent, or do we need to improve them and proceed somewhat one at a time? He's awful, I see.
Are they great, or do we need to make them great again and kind of go one by one here?
Oh, he's terrible. He's
great or great again, Jimmy Kimmel?
Well, he's not, he's not. First of all, they all have bad ratings. The one that's the most successful is Greg.
Who?
Greg Gutfeld. So Jimmy Kimmel, we got to make him great again?
Jimmy Kimmel's a loser. Look, all they do is talk bad about Trump. That's all. The whole show is talking bad about Trump.
The silence was deafening to a man who takes great satisfaction in always having the last word. For once, was he truly unable to speak. The entire world appeared to hold its breath, half anticipating a Twitter meltdown. And then, as if on cue, it occurred. A digital tantrum broke out as his thumbs found their target. Niro? No one washed up. Kimmel? Loser? The roast? Rigged? He abruptly decided he was also a film critic, though, and took it a step further. According to the man whose biggest film credit was Home Alone, 2, Raging Bull, Casino, and The Irishman were all awful. The internet was having a great time. Social media was inundated with comparisons between Trump's 7-second cameo and De Niro's Oscar-winning performances. And the saga intensified right when people believed it was coming to an end. The gloves came off once more at another Hollywood event. A crowded room, an enraged De Niro, and more vicious punches. Trump was doomed if he hoped this feud would end.
I'm going to say one thing. Fuck Trump.
Kimmel was having the time of his life under the bright studio lights. With Trump as the main course, his show devolved into a roasting session hotter than a 4th of July barbecue. He gave the audience a masterclass in comedic takedowns by dedicating an entire monologue to the former president's apocalyptic outburst. In an attempt to increase the level of entertainment, he even brought in a legitimate film critic to compare the cinematic brilliance of the great Robert De Niro with Trump's on-screen appearances, which primarily involved him yelling commands at C-list celebrities. One of these men has an Academy Award. Kimmel smirked and joked. Meatloaf was once abruptly removed from a reality show by the other. As if they had just learnt that their student loans had been forgiven, the audience burst into cheers. They were completely taken aback by the absurdity of it all, as Kimmel continued to roll out the jokes like a slot machine in Vegas. Trump's collapse gave late-night TV enough fodder for weeks, and it was a hilarious beating fit for the record books. A certain someone was frantically rage-tweeting into space somewhere in Mar-a-Lago, most likely crying as he looked for the lock button on the cap.
You and I have something in common. We have both been immortalized on social media by our former president, Donald Trump.
Yeah.
We have, I think this might have been the first time he wrote about you. Robert De Niro, a very low IQ individual, has received he spelled 2 wrong, many shots to the head by real boxers in movies. I watched him last night, truly believe he may be punch drunk, and then he says, At the end, he says, "Wake up, Punchy." He's
Initially, it appeared to be just another celebrity joke, the type that garners attention for a day before disappearing. However, this is Hollywood. We love sequels. A-listers were piling on like it was an awards show after party before you could say meltdown. A whole segment, complete with slow-motion replays, was devoted by Stephen Colbert to what he called a masterclass in public freakouts. Never one to pass up a clowning opportunity, Seth Meyers delivered Trump's true social rant as though he were trying out for a role with the Royal Shakespeare Company. There were gasps, pauses, and heartbreaking looks. It didn't end there either. The musicians sensed a chance. De Niro's speech was turned into a club hit within hours by a DJ with too much free time, complete with an auto-tuned outrage and a bass drop that could shake Mar-a-Lago. Remixes were all over TikTok by morning, and one that featured a gospel choir singing Sad Little Man went viral right away. Broadway even became involved. The musical, which featured a chorus of former lawyers and a puppet wearing a wig, sparked rumors that Lin-Manuel Miranda was already drafting Trump.
Remember the Academy Awards? I said how he's the worst host in the history of the Academy Awards. And this stupid guy goes up, and just before the Best Picture of the Year, the show is almost over. They're waiting for the Best Picture of the Year. He gets up and he says, and his wife said, "Please don't do it. Please, darling, don't go out." His manager said, "Don't do it. I have to do it." He goes out and reads my truth to the entire audience right before the best prime time, the Best Picture. And it said basically, he is the worst host of the history. He reads the whole thing. And then I think he said something like, "Ha, ha, ha, he thinks he bothers me," or some crap like that. I said, he's one of the dumbest human beings ever. He should have listened to his wife. What a dope.
Do you recall the Academy Awards? When I mentioned that he was the worst host in Academy Awards history, this idiot took over, and the show was almost over before the year's Best Picture. They're anticipating the year's Best Image. He says, "Please don't do it, darling, don't go out." And his wife responds, "Don't do it, I have to do it," his manager said. Just before the Best Primetime, Best Movie, he goes out and reads my truth to the entire audience. In essence, it says that he is the worst host in history. After reading the entire thing, I believe he said something along the lines of, "He thinks he bothers me," or something similar. "He's among the most stupid people I've ever met," I said. He ought to have paid attention to his wife. With popcorn in hand, the entire world watched, anticipating the next ridiculous turn in what had officially turned into the most bizarre Hollywood versus politics crossover event in history.